Hey, welcome. Batteries are included. From CCIF in Vancouver, 2022. I'm Stefan Oliesi with Canadian Collision Specialists. Thought I'd just give you a quick rundown of the presentation that I brought into CCIF for that. So they say it's a good idea to get everyone's attention, so hopefully you're reading this right now and you're being completely offended, because that's my intended idea, is to offend you. I don't believe any of these statements to be remotely true. It's just a way of getting your attention, and it's related to what we're going to be talking about, other than the last one. So I do have a bit of a disclaimer here, and my disclaimer is basically stating that in order for the EV to replace our internal combustion engine, we got a lot of things to deal with: bureaucratic political agendas, infrastructure, materials, acquisitions, the testing, range anxiety. There's all kinds of other alternatives that are being researched as we speak. However, there's still a lot of research to be done. I mean, for all I know, they could even be looking into the plutonium and the flux capacitor ideology. So this presentation reflects our industry here in Canada and some of the mitigating factors that we're going to be exposed to. With that, if I had all the answers, I'm not here to solve the world's problems, but if I could, then I'd be on a sailboat somewhere in the Caribbean reading a magazine, sipping on a Negroni, but I am not. So topic 1, the approach to repairing that EV vehicle in our production sector. I'm going to be straight up. The EV is an electric vehicle. It is full of electricity. Electricity is invisible. Electricity is dangerous. Getting a basic understanding of exactly what it is involved with the EV is going to be paramount to the success of your repairs. This is not something to be taken lightly. You are going to have to start to educate yourself on the aspects of the EV. We have different areas. Number one being your OEM. Your OEM is going to be your guiding factor. They design the vehicle, they build it, they engineer it, they give you the information on repairing it. Your number one source is going to be your OEM. You do have third parties out there, such as iCar and other institutions that provide third-party information. They will give you a solid basis to begin with. They will not give you all the information you need to become a OE certified technician for any particular brand or model. They give you a general overview. We have EV Friendly in BC, which has a very involved program depending on the sector of the industry you're in. I strongly suggest that you check out EV Friendly. There's a lot of good information there, and there's a process that's involved. They don't take this lightly. It is something that will help you and benefit you to get yourself started. There are other entities in the US of A as well, but we live in Canada, and I try to keep this a Canadian-focused information. And of course, we have the less than credible subjective information that is found online, such as places as like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and etc. Take it with a grain of salt. Make sure you understand what you're researching before you go to research, especially on these platforms. Safety procedures, comprehension. This is not going to be simple. The challenges that you're facing are not going to be simplistic. Is this all encompassing? Well, no, it's not. Safety, do not skimp on safety. Safety is not a place that you want to be skimping on. When we're talking about EVs, we are strongly looking at education and how paramount it is. I cannot stress it enough. It's a long-term investment that is going to be somewhat costly. However, the outcomes, if not followed, are going to be catastrophic. You have to pay close attention. This is not a walk in the park. The procedures that are going to be provided in training courses and available sessions are going to usually be probably OE specific to a certain vehicle, even make or model. With that being said, each OEM is going to have a different variation and different ideology on how their vehicles are engineered and designed and built. So again, it is incredibly important to understand that one size does not fit all. With that being said, each OEM is going to give you their own version of event. You are going to have to be able to comprehend and understand the literature that has been given to you. That literature is going to be sometimes confusing. Are we clear on what needs to be done? Well, when we have a damaged vehicle in our stall, we have to understand 100% what it is that we need to be doing. Going to be a lot of questions involved with that. Now, does everyone understand what is going on? Well, it's a challenge to understand what's going on because there's a lot of people that are involved in the development of this. What I can tell you is it is absolutely not up for debate or negotiation. It is not a negotiating tool. Your procedures are the direction and the directive to make sure that that vehicle is repaired 100% correctly. That is your main focus. GM has 25,000 engineers on staff and about 3,000 to 3,500 more to be employed for future EV development. Imagine the conversation around that water cooler. Those big brains are designing, developing, engineering, and marketing these vehicles. With that, we have to understand that their ideology is going to be a challenge to understand. What are we looking at here? We're looking at an EV, and do note that this is not a traditional looking vehicle, is it? It is not a 72 CUDA, folks. This vehicle is a different beast all on its own. And with that being said, if you're looking at this vehicle going, oh my, this is something else to understand, you're absolutely right. It is something else. And you're going to have to invest in that. The transition going to happen as soon as it's implied? Well, the viability of the EV. It's been said that by our government, zero emissions cars and trucks can be sold from 2035. So basically what they're saying is as of 2035, there will be no more gasoline internal combustion engine vehicles for the retail market. In other words, your passenger vehicles and light duty vehicles. The government has implied that it's going to be there to help you. At this point in the presentation, there was a poll at CCIF, putting the creative verbiage aside. The question was, do you think it's possible to make this 2035 mandate a reality? It was about a 50-50 response to that, which I was quite surprised. So here's the scoop. Based on facts and data available to me, I put this together. What they said about aluminum. Everybody has aluminum. Everybody's going to need a welder. Everyone's going to need a program. Everyone's going to have to take the courses. And it's true. And a lot of people did. And then they ended up fixing 4 vehicles in the last 3 years. Okay, I understand your plight. However, the internal combustion engine is a government-backed mandate. Aluminum was an OEM ideology. There is a lot of scientific evidence that indicates that we contribute to climate change. And if you don't believe me, just ask a dinosaur. I'm sure they would be glad to have that conversation with you. We will gradually see more and more EVs within our retail market and within our facilities. This is without a doubt. So let's start some math here. Average vehicle in Canada lasts for about 13 years. In 2034, basically your last gas vehicle is going to be on the lot. After that, no longer. So from 2034 forward, you got about 13 possible years. So let's round it out. We'll say about 2050 is when we will be possibly full bore EV, which is about 27 years until we're possibly full bore EV. That gives you a little bit of time. Not so unreasonable anymore. At this point at CCIF, I did a second poll. And we were talking about the equitability, viability, sustainability of it. And the question was, do you think EVs are a viable replacement for the internal combustion engine? And it was a resounding positive response to that, which, again, was fantastic to see. Here's the reality. Sustainability of all this, I don't know. I'm not an ecologist. I'm not an environmentalist. So I cannot answer those questions. There's a lot of mitigating factors: batteries, minerals, mining, treaty agreements, land uses, world politics, economics, etc. Outside of my circle of influence, kids, can't help you there. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. The thing is, the EV is already happening. It's a reality. Elephant in the room on this one, we're going to tackle one issue today. And that issue would be this: the grid. So a lot of people think that, we can't do this. EVs are not a reality because the grid is just going to melt and we're going to be back to the Flintstones. Well, not so fast. Will it implode? Nah, I don't think so. And I'm going to explain why. Now, there is a lot of information to sift through on this, and a lot of it is, well, less than credible in many cases. So I'm going to try and put this out there for you so that you understand the reality of what you're going to be faced with. My point of this presentation was to express how the EV is a very strong candidate for filling our shops in the future. That was the goal. Another question that some people were thinking at this time are, well, in California during the summer, they had this whole brownout thing and they were asking people not to charge up their EVs, and of course the media would have to put that out there, but the EVs, people running air conditioners, etc. Well, here's the scoop on that, and as I go through this, we'll highlight California a little bit and I will use them as an example. Here's the perspective if we break it down realistically in Canada. So I'm going to do some quick math here. You have to try and keep up. 30 million licensed drivers, 21,000 K a year. That's 6.52 billion kilometers per year that Canadians drive. And in other words, we need to sustain that fuel. We need to get rid of fossil fuels, and we're supposed to replace that with electrical energy. The miles per gallon equivalent. This is how we measure our EV consumption. So the worst EVs out there. 70 miles per gallon equivalent, which is 29.8 kilometers per liter equivalent. The best ones getting a whopping 130 miles per gallon. Woohoo, man, that's some serious mileage. 55.3 kilometers per liter. So the miles per gallon equivalent on average is about 100 miles per gallon. When we look at the advances and the changes that will occur over time, it'll probably get better, and that's going to have a factor. But for now, we're going to focus on our 100 miles per gallon equivalent, which is about 42.6 kilometers per liter equivalent. During the presentation, I mentioned that when you purchase a new car nowadays, you are faced with how many liters per 100 kilometers. Now, this is telling you how many kilometers per liter. That's a massive difference. So if you want to get your head around that, that tells you that it's quite a substantial difference. But what the heck is a liter of electricity? Well, a liter of electricity is, in a gallon, it is 33.7 kilowatt hours. Therefore, 1 liter is 8.9 kilowatt hours. And 8.9 kilowatt hours is equivalent to about $1.78 a liter at today's energy rates of approximately 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So $1.78, depending where you are in the world. If you're in Alberta, $1.78's high. If you're in Vancouver, $1.78's a gift, and that's at the time of this presentation. Okay, so here we go. Some simple math formulations. Ready? The grid. 30 million drivers, 21,000 K a year. We divide that by their fuel economy, and you've got 42.6 kilometers per liter. We're going to multiply that by the amount of energy used, and that's going to give us a whopping total. If everybody, a licensed driver, 30 million drivers in Canada, were to buy an EV tomorrow morning and plug it in at dinner time when they got home, they would need 136,170 kilowatt hours of energy all at once. Now, let's add some factor in for fluctuations such as mountains, wintertime, hot weather in the prairies, and other mitigating factors that might crop up. So 25%, that's going to be about 170,212,500,000 kilowatt hours. Woo, big number. 170.2 billion kilowatt hours per year in Canada in order to charge our EVs. That is single EV at home every day being charged at home. In Canada, we produce 632 billion kilowatt hours annually. Your EV requirement that we need is about 170. So that works out about 27% increase in energy. Well, holy moly, isn't that a lot? Remember, this is over 27 years. We're not going to all buy an EV tomorrow and jam it into an outlet at home at 6 o'clock when we get home from work. Basically, we're looking at about a 1% per year increase in our grid capacity. Well, past outcomes are sometimes indicative of what happens in the future. Not in my bank account, but everything else. 5% per year over the last 40 years, we've increased our grid capacity in this country and the consumption of energy. A lot of that is related to the fact that when I was a kid, 2 houses on the street had air conditioning. Nowadays, 2 houses on the street don't have air conditioning and the rest do. There's a considerable difference, hence the 5% over the past 40 years. It'll take 6 years to get there at that rate. In other words, in 6 years' time, if we keep going, we should be able to handle the EVs. But we're not going to be full EV in 6 years. We've already expressed that, how we're going to have a buffer of approximately 27 years. We're going to have a whole pile of multiple bureaucratic hurdles. Governments are going to change, ideas are going to change, thought processes are going to change. I can't predict the future. What's the cost for us as a household? Let's just say, like, is it worth it? Why are we going to do this? Well, here's a scoop. Average household, 577 kilowatt hours a month. That works out to about $115 a month. And I know if you got teenage daughters, you're telling me not in my household. Our EV is going to consume about 475, so that's about $93 a month to charge up your EV at home. That's an 80% increase in your electrical utilities at home. Yeah, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. However, my vehicle and many people out there are probably blowing anywhere between $200 to $400 a month on gas. We're talking $93 a month for our electrical bill. Now that's with one car. All your charging done at home, not somewhere else, not at work, etc. That's the equivalent of leaving a 110 volt curling iron. Your daughter leaves a curling iron plugged in for 24/7 every day, all year long. It's a little more surmountable. Will there be issues? Of course there will. There's always going to be issues. Problem lies in peak demand times, surges. Welcome California. As I said, I would address this. 65 to 70% of people in Canada work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So if all these people come home at 6 o'clock to have dinner and they plug in their Duracell buggy, then yes, kaplooey, that could happen. But again, that would have to happen right now, here and now, in the instant. And that's not the case. Many challenges are surmountable over time, and that is what we are going to be dealing with. The EV, it is going to make an impact. Is it going to solve the world's problems? Absolutely not. But it is going to have an impact. But what kind of impact is it going to have on your facility? Well, when we start looking at ADAS, as you're already being exposed to, and we start thinking about EVs, which are electric, this technology is definitely already invasive to our industry, and it's just going to become more invasive. Our repair standards and the qualities of our repairs have to increase. We have to pull up our pants, and our industry needs to start focusing on the repair standards and the quality of our repairs. When you have this much power in a vehicle, you're driving around a battery, that technology that is available to us is going to be fueled by that energy, which just means we're going to get more and more technology, more and more ADAS, more and more features. It's all electrically driven, and they all work together in harmony. You are driving a battery, and that battery is going to power that technology, and that technology demands that everything is repaired 100%. 92.7% of vehicles have at least one ADAS feature as of 2019 through a study. 99% will have it as of 2022, meaning that automatic emergency braking in the US was mandated on all light-duty vehicles and passenger vehicles. So it's there. It's happening. The accuracy of the repairs, as you can see by this lovely gem, it may not have been repaired quite as accurately as it should be. ADAS systems rely on the accuracy. They are calibrated to the millimeter. Systems are married. What that means is basically your high voltage system is a floating system in the vehicle your 12-volt system feeds off of that. They're in the same house, but they're separated. The OE procedures are your answer to getting through these challenges. Without following your OE procedures, you will find that you're going to be up against a wall. Autonomous vehicles, we've all heard of it. We know that they're trying, and they've got prototypes out there with delivery companies, grocery stores, Amazon, etc. The ADAS features in your vehicles, the connectivity, and the EVs, they all are together. It's not getting simpler, it's getting more complicated. The attention to your accuracy is vital. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to present to you the repair, how this impacts our industry. So this repair is a front-end repair. It's done at Franco's. We're going to pick on Franco today, and I'm sorry if your name's Franco. This is not in... what do they say? There's a disclaimer. Any names or references to real life are, just strictly coincidental. Okay, how's that? That was good. ADAS loaded vehicle is what we're contending with. And just to be clear, at 100 kilometers an hour, you need 98 meters of stopping room. Here's our scenario. At Franco's fixed this car. You got your convertible, your midlife crisis buggy. You're on that flat Saskatchewan highway, which we're going to refer to as our zero plane. Here's our convertible. Here's the front of our vehicle, and it's going to have its sensor right there. We are going to have a sensor. You can see the sensor right there, the little yellow thing. Here's our stopped vehicle up ahead as we're driving along at 100 kilometers an hour. And there's the back of that vehicle, which is now going to be the trigger point. Here is your line of datum. That's the line that from your sensor is triggered by the vehicle up front that's stalled. We're 100 meters away. And with that being said, we need 98 meters of stopping room. And there's your 98 meters, 2 meters away from that car. We're traveling 100 kilometers an hour. We need 98 meters. Is it going to work? Well, of course it is, because Franco's, he fixed the car nice. He make it nice and nice. That's it. Always a but. There's always a but. What if the repair was a not so good? A Franco, he's a no fix it nice and nice. There's Franco's auto body. As you can see, we might have had a problem here. Okay, our flat Saskatchewan highway. Here's our zero plane. Here is our convertible. And here is our sensor. Oh, but we just threw a wrench into it. Because now we're going to put a 2 millimeter deviation into the mounting of the sensor, and it's going to face upwards. 2 millimeters equals 5 degrees difference in the slope of that sensor. So you can see there's a 5 degrees right there. That's what it looks like. There's our sensor, the little yellow guy. Put the little cross in it so that you can see the little tweak on that. Okay, sensor face. Here's our stopped car up ahead. And here's the trigger point as we discussed earlier. Everything's the same. We're traveling at 100 kilometers an hour. We're going to need 98 meters of room to stop our vehicle. However, oh no, what's happening there? We've got ourselves an issue, don't we? We have a 5 degree deviation, which means our little car is not going to see the car up ahead. So our ADAS features are not going to kick in at the right time. When are they going to kick in? 55 meters into our stopping zone. This means that we got 45 meters left of space to stop the vehicle. The reality is, it ain't gonna happen, kids. Sorry about your luck. You got a catastrophic collision in your face. Oh, wait, I forgot. Battery electric vehicles are generally 33% heavier than a conventional vehicle. 33% weight. That's a whole lot of weight. Sensors point 8.7 meters above the datum line, 100 meters away. Did you realize that a lot of these sensors are designed to start reading at 200 to 300 meters away? It's 200 to 300 meters away. That thing's be pointing at the moon. Never mind the car that's up in front. You're moving at 27.78 meters per second. That's awfully quick. You got 3.5 seconds after you react if your ADAS system hasn't reacted yet. Takes the average driver 1.5 to 2 seconds to react. Older people about 2.5. Someone like myself, it could be days. 45 meters, your ADAS could kick in, but a Franco, he's gonna fix the car properly. I don't think it's gonna work. At 100 kilometers an hour, it takes 1.6 seconds to cover 45 meters. You got less than a second to stop this puppy. It ain't gonna happen. And you haven't reacted in time because you're complacent. Because most people out there will be complacent with their ADAS features. And those people that are complacent with their ADAS features because they don't understand the science behind it, they just know that it's an option on my car I paid for and I can use it. This is what's going to happen to those people. Beep, beep, a boom. So there you go. That's 2 millimeter deviation in the mounting of your sensor. And if you ask people in the industry that are versed in calibrations, ADAS, sensor, and electronics, you will find that even 1 millimeter is enough to have this happen. It's a serious, serious situation. Are we there? Are we ahead or behind with our education? Well, EVs are kind of new for us. Electric vehicles have been around in development for years and decades. Yes, they have. However, in our industry, they're relatively new. We're going to learn. We're going to figure it out. We're going to have to relearn. I don't even think we have a plan B, to be honest with you. Aluminum, of course it's still happening. I'm going to bring this up. Why? Because that 33% weight increase is going to have to be dealt with somehow. And here's our aluminum. Aluminum will be what we use to replace that weight, not to mention carbon fibers and other composites. But you will find that this is what's going to happen. Government, are they going to be there for education and that? There will be incentives, there'll be programs, there'll be funding and grants to develop programs, to put them together. You will have to do some research. Just please do the research from credible sources because your education is vital. These changes are not going away and they're detrimental to someone or life even if it's not taken care of properly. The return on the investment, long term. However, the results are catastrophic if you don't. Don't fall behind. It only takes one lawsuit. That's all it'll take to wipe your business out. The liability lies in your hands as a repairer, and that is it. It's not in anyone else's hands, and there's no one else there that's going to take the fall for you. It will be you. Therefore, it's your responsibility to be on top of this. Our trade is multifaceted. It's a fascinating trade. We have become welders, we're fabricators, we are artists, we are refinishers, some of us even have to have used wood in the past. We work with aluminum, plumbing when it comes to AC, HVAC, air conditioning, cooling and heating of the vehicle, and now we are a full-bore electrician and an electronics wizard. You got plenty of time, 27 years. It's a good chunk of time for us to get this together. I don't suggest waiting, or you could just let someone else take care of your customer. That's up to you as a business owner. Cost and timing, spread it out. Remember this garbage can? I'm sure you do. It was a profit center, believe it or not. This is what you were working on 27 years ago. 27 years from now, things are going to look different, kids. It's not going to be the same thing as what you see here. It's not the same as what we have now. But everything can be a profit center. And if you invest slowly over time, you will find your EVs will become your profit center as well. The administration process. You must change how you handle files, including billable items, how you do your repairs, how you document stuff, and how you keep track of what's going on. And those, again, procedures and the operations, your billable line items need to be accounted for, every one of them. Service industry's feeling a pinch. I feel for them. I really do. They've seen the challenges. They're going to be more and more challenging for them. A lot of their consumables, spark plug wires, tune-ups, air filters, doing heavy mechanical work. We don't even have a transmission in these EVs anymore. Their bread and butter has been pulled out from under them. And I think, in my opinion, and you're entitled to my opinion, they've got it worse than we do. Collision is collision, regardless. They bump and bang things, scratch things, damage things, dent things. Things will fall on top of cars, etc. You're still going to have work. Will it be the same as it is now? Maybe not. That landscape could change. Will ADAS cure the collision? Absolutely not, because the world has no shortage of stupid. And as long as there's stupid out there, the collision industry is a viable industry. How should we versus how we usually approach these advancements? The old school world. So I've been doing this away for 45 years now. So I'm gonna change everything a good. Nice, I make a fix and nicer the car. Well, that ideology is gonna be less prevalent now. Why is it gonna be less prevalent? Because it is something that is mandatory. There's no choice. Adapting is mandatory to what we are faced with in the EV spectrum. Do it before anyone else does. This way, you stand a chance. Don't be fooled. It's not going away. It is here. It's here to stay. That was then, and this is now. The OE is dedicated. They are dedicated to designing, engineering, marketing, and developing the EV. It's part of their mandate now through the government. With that being, the suppliers that we have, they're invaluable. They will help us get information. They will provide information. They will have access to resources. However, some of their access could be limited, and there may be proprietary information that the OEs will decide whether or not they share with suppliers and equipment manufacturers. As much as I hate cliche terms, to be proactive, it involves education and investment. You're going to need some support from people around you. If you're part of a banner or an organization of some nature, they're going to need to step it up and help out. They're going to have to give you supports, guidance, and possibly create some form of relations with the OEs as well in order to get some of this information. There's a lot of issues with access to information, and when people work together, strength in numbers, things can get achieved, and that's where the banners are going to need to step it up. One of the things they're going to have to do is they're going to have to put aside some of these corporate manufacturing ideologies, this whole KPI fixation that everyone has, trying to pump stuff out faster and faster, quicker and quicker. There is a baseline. There's a limit to where this is effective. We work in the collision industry and we repair vehicles. We do not manufacture widgets and doohickeys and mobobs. No two collisions are the same. Plus, now we have to worry about accuracy, and we have to worry about getting things done right the first time. This is not a place for a race to the finish, who can get it done fastest. That is going to have to change. When that is changing, you're going to have to focus on repairing the vehicle and the true customer's values, not some KPI manufactured ideology. It involves patience. Patience, understanding, and of course, time. With those two things, time and patience, you will see our industry start to turn around. If we pull our pants up and get it together, you will see that this gradual process can be a positive one for everyone involved. The top of this hourglass is your internal combustion engine, and the bottom of it is your EV segment. And as we know, any hourglass, the top eventually drains into the bottom, which means the internal combustion engine could very well be, as we've discussed earlier, a thing of the past, and it could be replaced with the EV segment. Let's do a recap. Here's the facts, Jack. Why is it happening? Fact, government mandate. Fact, climate change. It's real. Ask a dinosaur. Fact, EVs are a reality. How will it happen? Fact, there will be challenges. It's not a walk in the park. Fact, EVs are in shops now and they will be a reality. And eventually they will supersede what is in there now. The ADAS, the EVs, the business practices that are handling the repairs of these vehicles have to change. Accuracy, attention to detail, no shortcuts. That is a fact. Those things will have to be tended to. What to do about it? Well, you could do nothing and you could just fall behind and let somebody else look after your customer. Not the best business practice, but it might be what you want to do. There will be costs involved. Will it be cheap? No. Cheap, economical, inexpensive, these are words that don't fall into this. However, quality will be paramount. You cannot skimp on this, as we said at the beginning about safety and about the approach to the education. You will need special tools for this, and these tools do not come cheap, I understand. But remember, eventually they are going to be the main tools. Complacency is not your friend. Complacency will be the demise of you. Just ask Frankel at Frankel's Auto Body there, right? If you refuse to get on board and you don't think it's going to happen, if you think this is some kind of conspiracy theory, then maybe you need to seek employment somewhere else. Are you sold on it? You may or may not be. I understand. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of information that's running rampant out there. You're going to have to do your research and you're going to have to tune it in somehow. Is it more than just EVs? Well, there's the application of hydrogen. That is still up for debate. There's a lot of gray area with hydrogen, so we're not going to put all of our eggs in that basket either. Sustainability, I don't know if it's sustainable. Again, I'm not an environmentalist. I don't know enough about the mining and mineral rights, and I don't know enough about all of the political bureaucracy that is going to be plaguing it. All I can tell you is it's time for us to make some overall changes in the industry, pull up our pants, start looking at this with a serious approach. I'd just like to say thank you for attending. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. I hope you did take something away from this. I know I did. I hope you found something valuable. If you wish to discuss the contents further, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can go through my website. You can answer by email, contact CCIF, however you feel or deem it appropriate for yourself. Until then, take care of yourself, make good choices, make wise decisions, and hopefully we'll see you again somewhere else in the collision industry. Thank you for your time.